Well, you know what? If I had my gun in here, I could shoot that light and get away in no time.
No. Sweep the leg.
Yeah, no, you would never. I would shoot the light. You wouldn't be able to.
I would
do
just
anything.
start sweeping all around me, and I would be sure to take you out.
No, you would miss because I shot the light.
You could teleport to your car, clearly with somebody else in tow. Because that's what
Absolutely.
happened in this movie.
I shot the light. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Zebadextra v Phebo, where Zebadextra rules and Phebo drools, which comes into play in this review.
Forgot I was still wearing my glasses. I can't tell if it's going to be annoyingly glary.
It is not annoying.
I think it'll be okay.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah. Just don't look at my glare.
Don't look at her face.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a movie called Renfield, which Tim made me watch.
I did.
He tied my hands behind my back.
Did.
And he taped my eyeballs open.
Yeah, but that wasn't what the whole thing was for. It wasn't the movie.
Was that the time where you were like force feeding me different foods and making me try them? Wait, why would my eyes need to be taped open for that? Remember how that's one of Joy's like favorite games is to like
Weird.
make you try different stuff, and it's always
butter.
Yeah, a spoonful
of butter. Here, eat this.
Oh man. Okay, so the movie Renfield
Yes.
stars Nicolas Cage as Dracula,
Yes.
Nicholas Hoult as Renfield. Did you realize they were both Nicholas in this movie?
I didn't.
I wonder what Nicholas Holt's name was during the filming of this. If he was just like underling, because Nicolas Cage was Nicolas Cage, you know?
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, one is Nick and the other is Nikki.
Nikki?
Or little Nikita.
Little Nikki, like that Adam Sandler movie.
Little Nikki.
So we saw this at home. We rented it from Vudu. Or I think you bought it, huh?
I did.
I don't plan on watching this again.
Really?
It is like way over the top.
It is a Nicolas Cage film extraordinaire.
How so?
Well, his films lately have just been a little bit crazy.
His whole career. Did you ever watch Wicker Man?
No, I did not.
You need to watch that.
But I did watch, what was it, Con Air?
I never saw Con Air.
Yeah, that was
that?
good. Yeah.
Is
What
that
about
the
the
one?
one? What about the one where he goes back into the
still foggy.
past and?
In the past.
Yeah.
Hot Tub Time Machine?
No.
Back in the past.
Yeah, I can't think of what it's called. It's something like Flashback.
Are you talking about Family Man?
No.
It's a good one too.
Yeah, that one is. No, this one's more of a sci-fi where he's like, he goes back into the past to change the future to save this girl. Yeah, it's interesting.
I feel like I should know about that one.
Yeah, it's probably one of his least Nicolas
famous?
Cage movies.
Oh, the least.
Yeah.
What's the word?
Well, you know, it's funny because like I don't know, like it seems like his movies have generally progressed in a way that like a lot of them were really kind of serious comedies.
like City of
drama
Angels.
comedies.
City of Angels.
Yeah, City of Angels,
Comedy.
Family Man, you know, stuff like that. And lately it's been more of a kind of like a roller coaster ride. Like the one that he did with Pedro Pascal, all over the place.
Yeah.
But they're fun. You know?
It depends on what you like.
Yeah, that's true.
This movie is...
I'm a fossil, so I do like gratuitous violence.
So this movie is so gross that some parts are hard to enjoy unless you're just like, okay, they're just like spraying everybody with tons of gooey Kool-Aid water.
You know, I have to admit in this one, there were like a lot of times I was just sitting there, I was like,
yeah.
What are they doing?
It's kind of similar to The Menu. We would look at each other and just be like...
This reminds me of like, back in the day, there was, when I say back in the day, I'm talking like, I think in the 90s.
Okay.
And there was one, it was like a kung fu movie where I can't remember if he punches a hole through the cow or the cow punches a hole through him. But it's similar vein as that as far as the action series go.
All right, so you get kind of a gist of what this movie's about, but if you want a little bit more information before we get into spoilers, so Nicolas Cage as Dracula and his not familiar.
Well, he is a familiar.
He's called a familiar.
Yeah.
Renfield. It's set in now time, and they are in New York. Are they in New York or are they in?
I think it was
Chicago.
New York. I thought it was New York.
Anyway, they're in a metropolitan area, and as his familiar, Renfield has to procure Dracula people for him to eat, and they actually need to be like innocent people.
Right.
And so Renfield is stuck in this
dilemma.
Well,
they don't have to be innocent.
No, but to give Dracula the most power.
Right.
And so he's stuck in this moral dilemma because he wants to be a good guy, but he's also stuck in this relationship with Dracula where he feels compelled to do all this bad stuff.
Right.
So it's a comedy about that. Like, they're trying to relate that to people's real life experiences with their narcissistic people.
Vampires.
Yeah, vampires sucking on their life. So they're trying to make it like relatable to us in current times, but it's also very silly because it's Dracula.
It's Dracula.
And Nicolas Cage is being over the top. So it's just, you're constantly being taken out of how they're trying to make you feel seriously about this story. So anyway, and then Awkwafina has this kind of side story. She's a cop, and she's in a precinct with a lot of crooked cops, and she's trying to get stuff done, but everybody's under the thumb of the mob or whatever.
Yeah, the mob cartel.
So that's basically what this is about. You can watch it at home if you would like to. We are 1 week late with this review because Tim got sick again, so if you've missed us,
yes,
that's why. But I think we should be back to regularly scheduled programming. So I'm going to get out my notes.
You should do that. Now, for those of you at home, if you haven't seen this and you really want to see this, and you really want to see this,
and you don't want any spoilers,
I would push the pause now, run out, check it out. It's on Vudu. Was it on Netflix?
You can rent it on Prime. But if you don't like a lot of gore, then you just want to hear us talk about the movie and you want to save yourself a couple hours, that's what we're going to do. And we're going to wrap up the whole story for you in about a half hour here.
It is gory. It's silly gore, though.
Yeah.
It's not like any kind of gore that can be taken seriously whatsoever.
Yeah. Okay. So this movie is called Renfield, so we're getting the perspective of Dracula's familiar, Robert Renfield, the whole time. Okay, so the film starts out with Robert. He's at a support group for people in a destructive, unhealthy relationship. So all these people are sitting there talking about their exes or their boyfriends who are like verbally abusive to them, or this one girl, she's so upset because her boyfriend is so into ska, and like it's people who are in relationships with other people who are kind of controlling them. And then you have the extreme, which is a man who's being controlled by an actual Dracula.
Yes.
So at first it seems like he's just there to get support and like get out of this relationship, but actually he is saying that he goes to these meetings to find people who have bad people in their life that he can lead to Dracula. And so Dracula is not only getting fed by them, but then also he's getting these people out of
off the streets.
Yeah, and out of their lives so that they can be free to live a normal life. So he's like feeling good about himself for that. So there's a flashback to how Dracula and Renfield met. Filmography here is really cool. I thought it harkened back a lot to how the old Dracula films were.
So while you say that, I wanted to point something out I noticed throughout this film. If you've ever watched any of the like old Dracula films, Dracula always has like a shadow above and below.
Yeah,
like
why
right
do you
here.
think that is?
And he's kind of whited right there, like in his eyes, to emphasize the eyes. And they do that a lot in this film too.
Oh, yeah. Tim told me that while we were watching it, and I hadn't noticed it. I just noticed the cool cinematography at the beginning, but that's the only thing I noticed. So he became Dracula's familiar, which means he has to serve Dracula. Renfield's power comes from eating bugs. I don't know, is that canon? Any bug he eats will give him supernatural power.
I don't remember that.
So it makes him super strong. He doesn't like have all of Dracula's powers. He has some of his powers, such as long life and being able to be extra strong.
Strength and
So Renfield saves him from monster hunters a few times. So in the flashback, it shows that Dracula's almost caught a few times.
Yes.
But Renfield steps in. So really, he could have kept Dracula from doing all this damage for centuries, but keeps saving him because Dracula has mind control power over him and convinces him he's a good guy, but he's not a good guy.
Well, not necessarily that he's a good guy, but that he's his friend.
Yeah.
I think.
So, I put for all their time together, there's a cycle. Dracula goes on a blood-sucking bender. Then the good guys come and try to kill him, and then Renfield moves him to a new place while Dracula tries to rebuild. So they show this in the flashback. Dracula gets, like, burnt to a crisp, but Renfield saves him right before he's, like, totally toast. Moves him where Dracula is going to try to build up his strength. And Renfield kind of gets a normal life a little bit in there.
Yeah, he does for a little while.
For a little bit. So we're back to Renfield in the support group meeting. He's talking about how he's going to help these people by turning over their abusive relationships to Dracula. And he's going for this one guy. So he has to go kidnap him, basically. And when he's kidnapping that guy to drag him back to Dracula, a hitman shows up. And he cuts Renfield's guts open. Sorry, so I'm going to say some gory stuff, but just remember it's silly. So then he's all, sliced open, so he eats more bugs so that he can heal, but he eats way too many bugs. Remember this part? And so he's like going overboard with his strength and power and ripping people up and stuff. Now Awkwafina, her storyline starts interweaving here. She's a police officer. She encounters Teddy Lobo. The Lobos are the drug family, and he's the son of the mob boss, and it's this woman. It's a very famous actress. I couldn't think of her name, though. And Teddy is played by the Weasley guy from Parks and Recreation.
Yes. Yeah. What is his name? Him and his sister on Parks and Rec.
It's something funny. I can't remember his name, though.
Yeah.
So she goes to arrest Teddy. She sees him out and about, and he's the one that sent the hitman to kill this other guy that happens to be being kidnapped by Renfield because he's in a relationship with this girl in the support group.
Right.
And she goes to arrest him, and he drives away or something. I didn't write that part down.
So the guy that Renfield kills, his head like flies through the window and smashes into Teddy Lobo's car, and Teddy Lobo's takes off.
Okay.
And then he pulls up to that DUI station, and he's like blowing his horn. Awkwafina recognizes him as Tony Lobos? Teddy Lobos. And he gets out of his car, and he's like, I'm Teddy Lobos.
Lobo.
Yeah, and he has them arrest him.
Oh, he wants them to arrest him?
Yeah, he's trying to get away from whoever killed the hitman.
Oh, okay. My bad. All right, so then we cut over to Dracula. He's holed up in an abandoned, it looks like maybe a hospital.
Yeah, it was like an old hospital or something that just was abandoned for some reason.
So Dracula is still mostly a corpse at this time, and he goes, I don't ask for much, Renfield, just the blood of a dozen innocent people.
Yeah, that's all.
He says he needs a bus full of cheerleaders that will get him back to full power. Renfield asks Dracula if they could try to have a more simple, stable life, and Dracula slices Renfield's stomach back open for his insolence.
Don't talk back.
Apparently, so while he's sitting there telling Renfield, what's what, and Renfield's just slowly dying, then Dracula spills his blood onto him, and it's going to heal Renfield. So this is part of their cycle of abuse. We're back to Awkwafina. She has Ted in an interrogation. I'm sorry, I'm going to call her Awkwafina in this. That is her name as an actress, but I don't remember what she was.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Like Susan or something?
I don't remember.
Anyway, I'm referring to her as her stage name. Yeah. Okay, so Teddy's in an interrogation room, and he's like spilling everything. He's talking about the whole...
He's telling all the secrets from the entire mob.
And his lawyer comes in, and he instantly gets bailed out. And Awkwafina's like, I have him here.
Yeah, but there was he was spilling all of this, and there was no one in the room with him. There wasn't even anybody in there interrogating him. He was just in a room by himself yelling out all the mob secrets.
And so then they come in and they release him, and she's like, what? And so, it's shown Awkwafina has no support there. She's like the only one trying to be by the book. Her sister works for the FBI, and tells her that she has to control her anger for the final result that she wants. And Teddy's mom wants to see him. That's the mob boss. She says they have the most ruthless and violent of all the crime families. Their rep is the most. But he's like wrecking it because he can't get stuff done. He's not showing that he means business. So she's like, you need to do something that shows.
Yep, doesn't get his hands dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So she's threatening him that he's not capable of inheriting the empire. So he's like, he's kind of like a mama's boy. And yeah, he doesn't really do much.
Yeah, he's definitely not the Stallone character from Tulsa.
No.
No.
Definitely
not like that
not.
at all.
Awkwafina's I'm gonna figure out what Teddy's up to. So Teddy, Awkwafina, and Renfield, they're all staking out the same club. When Renfield's there, he actually sees a bus full of cheerleaders come to the club, and he's like, are you kidding me?
Well, remember, he was like, he gave off a list of things, and it was like...
nuns?
A group of nuns, something else, and a busload of cheerleaders.
Yeah.
And literally, as he's sitting there in this restaurant, he looks over, there's the table of nuns. He looks over, here's the other group or whatever they were. And then you see this bus pull up in front and stop, and all these cheerleaders come running in. And he's like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, so that's the list that Dracula gave him of what would help him the most. And he's sitting there conflicted because he's like, I need to do what my master says, but I don't want to. So
trust me, I understand how Renfield feels because you sometimes give me orders and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, master.
You're gonna liken me to Dracula?
Yes, master. Please, please.
Okay. So they're all staking out the same club. I forget why Awkwafina's there. Is that one of Teddy's clubs?
It's one of Teddy's clubs.
Okay, so he's not staking out. He's just there.
Well, it's like a restaurant in the front and I think a club in the back or something because they were like the nuns were eating.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Is he like cutting drugs in the back or something?
I don't remember that.
Anyway, so it's one of Teddy's establishments or his family's establishments. Right. So he's supposed to go there and like show that he means business there, right? That's why he's there?
Right. Well, doesn't he show up after Awkwafina's there?
I think so. He shows up in a mask, in a lobo's mask.
Yes.
Are you sure that it's his establishment then? Because he was busting in a mask and like destroying people, right?
Well, I think what it was he had set a trap for Awkwafina.
Oh.
And so she came in there, and then his group came in with the masks on.
Okay.
And so no one would notice them. But she was like, all right, Teddy.
Yeah.
Because she noticed him right away.
Yeah. So Renfield drops his bug because he gets taken by surprise by all the stuff that's happening, and that's how he's actually going to have any power. He has to have that bug.
And dropping a bug is not like a euphemism, like, dropping acid. No, this is, he literally dropped it.
I know no euphemisms, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Awkwafina tells Teddy to shoot her, challenges his chutzpah. Chutzpah? Renfield is super impressed by her. He finds his bug and tackles Freddy. So he's just staring there like, somebody who knows how to stand up to the bully?
Yeah.
Like, he's so impressed and he wants to figure out how she does that.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, I gotta help her. So he eats his bug, he tackles Freddy. Together they start taking out the wolves. And then I wrote, this show is stupid gory.
Yeah.
So they're in this restaurant. Awkwafina tells all the patrons to get down. And then she starts shooting people, the masked guys. And Renfield is just jumping on them, attacking them, pulling their arms off of their body.
Yeah, he throws a tray. Remember that? There was like a silver serving tray, and he throws it and chops off the arms of one of them.
Yeah.
It's like, what is happening here?
Freddy got a fork to the neck, but then he just got up and left. I didn't understand how that happened.
Well, I mean, he didn't get it in a jugular. He got it back here.
How do we know?
Because you could see where it went in.
Oh, they gave you an extreme close-up and a label that said this is not the jugular?
No, but your jugular's up here, and he got stabbed way back here.
I just felt like it went way too fast. I didn't notice that. I was also looking down a lot and taking notes. So then Renfield and Awkwafina exchange hellos.
Yes, they do.
And she calls him a hero and wants to stand up to people. She calls him a hero and he wants to stand up to people like she does. So they're both admiring each other. And then Dracula mind speaks to Renfield and he's like, hey.
Give me that bus of nuns.
He says, I have a new plan. I'm going to be a god. So now he's just like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
So Renfield runs to the support group, and he's, I need help. I need help to get out of this toxic relationship. And
I think it's funny, though, like, every time Renfield walks into that group and he starts talking, it's always over that one same girl.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, oh, yeah, my problems don't matter.
Yeah, but she's always the one talking.
She's always the one talking when he interrupts.
So, he says he needs help. The group leader says a narcissist will always take advantage of the codependent's low self-esteem. So Renfield's really trying to listen here and take this advice to heart. He's trying to get some strength to stand up to Dracula. And the group leader says, what would happen if you didn't focus on his needs, but you focused on your own? And he goes, he won't grow to full power. And the group leader's like, that's a really weird way to put it, but sure. It's really funny. And then Lizzo's song comes on. It's like, am I ready? Ba, 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 da. And he has this part, because Dracula's not to full power right now. So he kind of has this part, this little montage where he's doing some stuff for self-care.
Yes.
So he's getting an apartment. He's reading books to arm him against narcissism. He's finally showering.
Well, and remember the one book the guy gives him. He's like, this is your defense against narcissism. This is your shield.
Okay.
That
comes in later.
It does when.
So he showers, he cleans his nails, he gets a new wardrobe with the help of all of his group members, and then Awkwafina is yelling at all the other cops that they're all involved, and they are all on the take from the Lobos.
And they are.
Yes, they are. Renfield goes to see Awkwafina at the precinct and brings her flowers. He's ready to give his witness statement.
I thought that was funny too, because he comes in, like, he's really nervous about this, and he comes in and he's holding the flowers, and one of the guys is like, did you bring flowers to an interrogation? And he's like, oh, this one's
for you. These are for everybody.
Yeah, these are for everybody. He hands one to Awkwafina's partner, and he gives the rest to Awkwafina.
Yeah.
So it was really cute, kind of clumsy.
Mm-hmm. His first relationship since being a familiar hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So he tells Awkwafina she's an inspiration, but then we're to Teddy's mom, and she has Renfield on surveillance killing all the people at that restaurant / club. And she tells Teddy he has till the end of the day to find Renfield and kill him to prove that he has what it takes. And Awkwafina, I really should have remembered what her name is, because I just keep, whatever.
I mean, I can look it up.
Okay. She's talking to her sister, and she needs her help. Teddy and his men figure out where Dracula's lair is when they're trying to find Renfield. They go into Dracula's lair, and they're like, what the heck is this place? And they're freaked out by what's inside. It's just a very creepy looking vibe. Dracula takes them out one by one and then leaves Freddy. Her name is Rebecca. Okay, I'm going to try to remember to call her Rebecca. That's her name in the show. I think I remember why I did it, because in my notes, I just have the people's names symbolized by their first initial. But if Renfield is an R and Rebecca is an R, I realized it was going to be confusing, so I just kept putting A. Okay, so Dracula's now interrogating Freddy.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And Dracula gets mad and sends out a bunch of bats. But I wrote that, but that is actually Dracula flying away.
It is.
At the time, though, I was like, oh, he's sending these killer bats to go get Renfield.
No, that's him.
Renfield gets to his apartment and finds Dracula, who had flown there by being a bunch of bats, sitting at his dining room table. And he looks over and he sees that his welcome mat is out there. And he's like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
It's because he welcomed Dracula into his
apartment. It says, welcome, come on in.
Dracula tells Renfield that he knows Renfield was protecting a bunch of innocent people instead of bringing them to him. And now begins the gaslighting technique, where it's like he's seeing firsthand, this is what Dracula does to me, this is what the support group says I have to watch out for, I have to stand up to this.
This is also where he grabs that book, The Shield,
And he starts reading
and
from
he
it?
starts like reading from it, and he's like holding it in front of himself in between him and Dracula.
Yeah. So Dracula's gaslighting him, and Renfield's having trouble practicing the things he learned at group, takes the book out that he got to help. Dracula grabs the book and sees that it came from the Life Spring Church, and he flies off. And Renfield's like, no. So he runs to the support group to get them to leave before Dracula gets there. And then Dracula comes up and knocks, and the support guy's like, come on in. And he's like, no. And then he's so sassy. He's just like all swaggering in, and he's got like sassy boots on.
And a big top hat.
Yeah. And is he back to full, like, does he look like his normal self at this point?
He's a lot closer.
Okay.
He's a lot closer at this point. He'll be a lot better in a minute.
So, if you're having trouble imagining this, think Harry Potter, where Voldemort turns into, like, nothing after splitting himself so many times, and then Pettigrew, like, has to help him, and as you watch the film, he turns, like, more and more looking into a man, but he never quite gets back there.
What is
Harry Potter? Okay, so he introduces himself to the group and then levitates. So at first they're like, oh, you're his friend. And they're like, oh, this is the guy who's... And then he levitates, and then he just massacres everybody.
And, you know, so the whole time, he's like, you got to bring me these meals, right? You got to bring me these people to eat. And, like, I don't remember seeing him take a bite out of anybody.
He bites somebody at the end, I think.
Does he?
Well, anyway, Tim's right. Like, mostly he just murders people. He doesn't actually drink their blood.
Doesn't drink a drop.
Maybe it just,
osmosis?
Yeah.
Dracula Osmosis Jones?
He drags the blood to his skin and just lays there. Okay. So this is another really bloody, gross scene, and Renfield's watching it all, like, in slow motion. He's cowering in the corner, right? He's just like, no.
Yeah.
And he can't do anything about it.
Because he doesn't think there's anything he can do.
So Dracula says, I will destroy the whole world, and it's all Renfield's fault because he betrayed him. Classic narcissism abuse. Yeah, being like, I'm doing all these bad things, and it's all your fault. Mm-hmm. So now Rebecca, she walks in and sees the destruction and arrests Renfield because Dracula's not there anymore. And she's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I thought you were a good guy. What's up with this?
Yeah. But her partner, instead of calling for backup, actually called the Lobos.
Bum, bum, bum. Also called backup.
So even her partner, he also called backup?
Yeah, there were a bunch of cops that show up, too.
So even her partner, who she works super closely with, is on the take.
She's the only one, I think, that's not.
So he calls the Lobos so that they can have Renfield, and it's a ton of her fellow cops under their thumb. Rebecca shoots out an overhead light and makes away with Renfield in her cop car. This part was like, I looked up from taking notes and I was like, what? She got him in the car and she got away from all these people?
She did.
That was silly.
She shot the light.
That was ridiculous.
That's how she gets away.
Yeah. She's Batman.
Well, you know what? Basically. If I had my gun in here, I could shoot that light and get away in no time.
No. Sweep the leg.
Yeah, no, you would never. I would shoot the light. You wouldn't be able to.
I would just start sweeping all around me, and I would be sure to take you out.
No, you would miss because I shot the light.
You could teleport to your car clearly with somebody else in tow. Because that's what happened in this movie.
I shot the light.
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
Maybe he fed her a bug. You know.
I think he wants to feed her a
bug.
Oh.
So, the Lobos boss sicks the whole city on them. Very John Wick.
Yes, very much so.
Dracula has Teddy in his lair and says, together they'll get the revenge. Teddy says, you need to meet my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Rebecca walked into Renfield's apartment.
Well,
she waked up. I wrote walked, but it's meant to say waked.
No, she waked up.
So, waked up. So, how did they go from being in her car to she was out of it, and now he carried her to his apartment?
Oh, you know what they did? They did this thing.
Did they crash?
No, they did this thing in films where they do like a cut scene. So she drives off, cut scene, wakes up in the apartment.
So it wasn't explained. It wasn't just me.
It was not explained.
Okay.
But she woke up and she was bleeding.
The people that had that on the cutting room floor, they were like, we're just going to...
People don't need this.
No.
It's fluff.
So she wakes up in his apartment and he's made her tea. She has a bullet wound and he tries to talk to her and she says, I can't trust a murderer. And she's like, I'm in this guy's apartment. I'm going to die. So he says, you have unresolved anger. He's talking to her.
Yeah.
So we know she's referenced a few times that her father was like chief of police or something high up in police. And he was betrayed by people, by the Lobos, right?
And killed.
And so she's been trying to revenge his death, but she has no support. She can't do it.
Right.
And she does. She has a lot of unresolved anger. How would you go to work every day with these people, you know?
I would shoot them. I would shoot the light first. Then shoot them.
Yeah, why didn't she do that? She needs to talk to you.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Once you shoot the light, everything's good, right?
He asks if he can just explain to her, and he's like, I work for Dracula. And she's like, uh-huh.
Yep, that's a plausible.
Yeah, and then Rebecca's sister calls her and reports that Renfield is probably the most prolific serial killer of all time. This is an FBI agent telling her this.
She's like, we've got his fingerprints going back 80 years.
Yeah, so she's like, where is this guy? Oh, I'm in his apartment.
Yeah, and she's like, 80 years?
Yeah.
Because he looks what? Like, how old's Nicholas Hoult?
And she knows that he just told her, I work for Dracula.
I work for Dracula.
So now she's like, wait a second.
What's going on?
So, and she's like, yeah, I'm in his apartment. He made me cookies. And she's like, you didn't eat any of them, did you?
And she's like, no. And she had.
So they decide to meet up to exchange Renfield. So she's going to give Renfield to her sister, the FBI.
Correct.
The Lobos show up, and he says, we need to find a bug. So they show up at his apartment? Yeah.
So, yes, they
like
show up at
the apartment, right?
They show up at his apartment, and his apartment's in, like, one of those, you ever see, like, the older shows where people are staying in those motels, and it has, like, the interior courtyard with a swimming pool.
So the Lobos all show up, and he's like, we have to find a bug right now. He breaks into the neighbor's house and eats an ant farm.
Yes. Remember earlier in the show, he gave the kid an ant?
Yeah, because he was like, I don't need this anymore during his, am I ready?
And he gives the kid this ant for his ant farm. And now he breaks into the kid's house, and he's just like pouring the ant farm down his throat.
And the mom's like, you're a bad man.
You're a bad man.
So now he's had way too many bugs.
Yes.
But he's like, he sees, 50 bad guys coming to get him.
Yeah.
So he beats up a lot of people while the mob boss looks on. And Awkwafina helps too. At the end, they like jump down. Or no, he like goes to help her get down off this balcony. He doesn't help her very far. She lands on this giant pile of corpses. A tiny step down, and they walk down this giant pile of corpses.
But you forgot part that was like the funniest.
Well, I didn't take notes on the gore part.
He literally rips the arms off of one of the guys, and he's like using them like nunchucks and beating the heck out of all these other guys. Yeah. And he like throws one, and it like stabs a guy through the chest. And it was like crazy kind of
silly. It was silly.
Silly murder.
Yeah.
Tricks are for kids.
So, Awkwafina, Rebecca's helping too.
Yes, Rebecca.
She's doing a little bit of shooting.
Yeah, a little bit.
Teddy arrives at his mom's house with Dracula in a coffin carried by a bunch of dudes. Yeah. Teddy says he wants to take over the world with us, Mom, and Dracula kisses her hand. He's like, ooh, I found a corrupt woman.
Yes.
And we're gonna become gods together.
That's what I did when I found my corrupt woman.
Wow. So... Rebecca and Renfield are on a riverboat chatting about their past. So now I'm not sure it's in Los Angeles. It was one of those boats like in Disneyland with the thing that's making the riverboat move.
A paddle wheel?
Yeah. I know.
I don't remember this part.
I was like thinking to myself, are they in Disneyland?
Maybe they were.
That would have been fun.
It's Disneyland. a small
shoot out the lights.
world. Shoot.
So they're chatting about their past. Then Dracula speaks to Renfield's mind and tells him he has a new army to help him.
Yes.
So Renfield gets a call from the mob. No, Rebecca gets a call from the mob boss. She has her sister.
Oh, no.
You can't ever have family when
Sin
you
ain't
do
so.
anything,
I
apparently.
know. The first thing I would do if I was going to be the bad guy is shoot the lights, get rid of you.
Send your families to Mars.
Get rid of the family.
Get rid of you. Oh, man. They prepare to go fight him.
By the way, if this is ever viewed in some sort of court case, I would never do anything like that.
It would never be a bad guy.
Well, first off, I wouldn't be a bad guy. And second, my wife is sacrosanct. I would never do anything to her.
But if there was something terrible happen, I would hope you would send me to Mars with my children so we could stay alive.
I wouldn't send you to Mars because that's where men are from, and there may be still more men there, and I don't want you finding another guy.
But who runs the world, girls? Who runs the Mars, girls? Okay, so they prepare to go fight Dracula and his new army. They're just like, oh yeah, we totally got this.
Got it.
So they go grab supplies, which are namely...
bugs.
And?
They grabbed the steaks, bugs.
Uh-huh.
Did they grab holy water?
They grabbed crucifixes and stuff to make a protection circle.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Well, I wrote it down way up here before it even happens at the end.
So he talks to her about making a protection circle.
Yeah.
But they didn't get anything to make one with.
Okay. Agree to disagree.
And I'll tell you in a few minutes how they make that circle.
Okay. As they walk in, Renfield says, no matter what happens in here, make sure you save your sister. Yes. So he's preparing to die, basically.
Yeah. As well he should.
So Teddy gives a big reveal that he's a...
familiar.
Yeah, Dracula has two familias now.
Familias.
I'm a familia.
What are they now from Jersey?
I'm the new familia.
I'm a familia.
And then he says we're all familiars now. So all of the Lobos. So not only does he have to take on Teddy, but now all of these fools.
Hope he brought some bugs.
The next thing I wrote was, good thing Renfield ate like 1,000,000 bugs.
Yeah.
When they were driving around the car, was he like grabbing all these bugs or something?
No, he had like a shaker, a cup of them, and he was just, like you get at Petco.
Was he? Like
he was just downing them right out of a styrofoam cup.
All right, so when they get there, Rebecca starts shooting steaks.
I guess he could have just went to a bait shop.
Yeah. You know, we're pulling hairs here.
Yeah.
So Rebecca is shooting steaks and big guns. What does that mean? Shooting steaks and big guns.
Shooting steaks and big guns?
Like she has a big gun and it's shooting steaks out of it.
I don't think so.
That is what happened. She was shooting steaks. Not meat steaks.
Okay. Slapped with a porterhouse. Uppercut with a ribeye.
They'd just be like...
True.
You know? Okay. So Rebecca goes to the mob boss office. I can't say that. Mob boss's office. You try. Mob boss
Mama
office.
Kabasi.
You try.
Mama Kabasi.
Passamaquoddy.
Mama Mob Boss.
Yeah. She goes to the mob boss's office, and Dracula is in there and introduces himself while Renfield and Teddy keep fighting. So they're having a standoff. Renfield says, it comes with a price. You'll become his slave. And Teddy realizes that's true. So he's telling...
Well, how does he remember? How does he do it? He's like, that's not what Master said.
Yeah. So he's like, you don't want this, Teddy. You're going to be a slave. Dracula tries to seduce Rebecca to give her power. Yes. She sees her sister over there lying almost dead, and he's like, come to my side. I will give you power. And she's acting like she's going to do it. And he says, I can heal your sister. My blood will bring her back. Say the word, and I will undo what the Lobos have done, although in my notes now they're the Logos.
The Logos.
All I ask in exchange is for you to join me. And Renfield begs her not to do it. Is he in the same room, or does he just know?
He does now get to the same room.
So he's like crawling on the ground. No! Like that?
Well, I don't think he's really crawling.
Oh.
I don't remember. I do remember him being in the same room.
Okay.
She says yes.
Mm-hmm. And she's like being embraced by Dracula.
Yeah, and then she reaches behind her, and what does she do?
She pulls out the remote Oh, it's a button.
Yeah, it's a button.
So in the mob boss's office, she has these raising and lowering drapes. Yes. And so Dracula can be in there in the daytime because the drapes are lowered.
Right.
So she reaches behind and she smashes the button and it starts raising up the drapes, right? Or did it not work at first?
I thought it didn't work.
I'm sure I took a note. Oh, so Renfield begs her not to do it. Rebecca says, I lost my dad. I can't lose my sister. So she doesn't care if she loses herself. She doesn't want to lose her sister.
Sure, that's
So Rebecca goes to him and pretends she's acquiescing and then opens the drapes and Dracula turns into a million bats to escape the sun and they fly as they're burning. So it did work when she pushed the button.
Okay.
Rebecca is in the dark with her gun out. Renfield is passed out. Dracula grabs her and takes her to the ceiling and he's about to bite her and she shoots down into his foot and he's like, good one. But because she shot his foot, it trickles into Renfield's face.
The blood does.
And the blood starts healing Renfield.
Yes.
That was extra super sassy.
Extra. Read all about it.
She's like real good. She's good at shooting guns. She's good at shooting feet.
Mouth.
And you know, when she shot Dracula's foot, it definitely didn't go straight through Dracula and into Renfield.
No. He has like,
like a stopper, shoes. Right? But the blood can still get through.
Well, eventually it's going to fill up in there and just spill out.
Yeah, and it definitely was an eventually type of situation in this movie. It didn't happen in like 1 second.
No, she got the villain talking.
And he's about to bite her.
But once you get the villain monologuing...
he's like, ooh, let me tell you how my foot feels.
You have a lot of time.
So Renfield jumps up on Dracula's back and rips his fangs out. So he goes to the front of him and whoosh, like that.
Yes.
As he's about to bite Rebecca. And Dracula's like, ha ha ha, that's not going to do anything. Basically.
And what happens?
So Renfield finds his power and starts beating up Dracula. And then Rebecca has drawn a protection circle in cocaine.
Cocaine.
So maybe what I took notes on before was that he told her how to do it?
He was telling her about the protection circle, but she was like, so how do we do it? And he's like, okay. I have no idea.
Oh, he doesn't know? Yes, he does.
He doesn't know. No, he doesn't know like the incantations to do it.
Oh, well then how would she know?
Because she looked it up on Wikipedia.
She said she did or while they were on their way there or something.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a protection circle and she drops...
And she had found the cocaine. There was like a pile of bricks of cocaine there.
Yeah.
And that's how she made the circle.
The cocaine was just lying around in this movie all the time.
A lot of cocaine.
She traps Dracula in it, says, what do we do now? And so then they grab the mob lady's weapons, and she has like this whole arsenal in her room.
Just crazy amounts of...
And like every weapon you can think of, they just,
like
let's try this one. Boom.
Like middle-aged type weapons. Yeah. They're just like really crazy.
Yeah, so they use every weapon to kill him, and then they bury him in the sewer in cement cubes.
Yeah, so they chop him up completely, and they freeze. They take cement, and they put him like his body in the cement in ice cube trays, so that if it does get out, it's gonna take him like forever to get out. Yeah.
Did it show that part?
Well, it showed. It said that they were putting him in the...
There was like a narration behind it when it was happening.
And they showed the ice cubes, the cement ice cubes that they were throwing in the...
So the sisters hug.
Yes.
So now we know she's back alive somehow, or she got healed, right?
How did she get healed?
So Rebecca and Renfield talk about how Renfield could do a lot for people by telling them how to find their power. They're back at group. And all of the group people have been rezzed by Dracula's blood. So we figure out that they got Dracula's blood before they completely murdered him.
Yes.
And they used it to heal everyone they wanted to.
And it's funny because they're carrying around like this gallon jug. And it says Dracula's blood right on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
A gallon jug?
Yeah, it was like a gallon iced tea jug.
That's really silly.
It was really... Did you even watch this? Hey, did you hit start record?
Why do you do that to me every time?
I can't see.
Yeah, okay. So Renfield says to the group, I no longer feel like a victim because I finally faced my demons, ...
Yeah.
And literally. He says, if I can do that, maybe everyone can.
Yes.
The end. That was Renfield.
Renfield in a nutshell.
If you want to watch it, come over to our house. We own it. Then you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah. Just bring popcorn.
Specifically, hopefully, you can bring some kettle corn with extra butter.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they do at the movies.
Yeah.
We didn't go see this one in the movies because Timmy was sick, but...
Well, not only that, but it came out pretty quick on...
Yeah, it was like, do out.
Yeah.
Right? Watch it still in the theater today.
I think it might still be in the theater.
Lies!
But it did come out to video. Kind of like a COVID movie.
Oh, that's what you mean. It came out to streaming right after...
Yeah, so it released, and then, I don't know, it was maybe a month later, it was released.
Yeah, probably even less.
On streaming.
Like a lot of movies are doing that already. Super Mario Bros. I think you can watch already at home.
I don't know about that one. But I think that's one of the bonuses of like this whole COVID situation is the way they've revamped the way they release movies. It comes out to the house a lot quicker.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say this is a movie you need to watch in a theater, would you?
No.
There's not like epic movie, epic music, not epic movies. No, definitely. No, there's no epic music or landscape or anything that you're like, you need a big screen experience.
Yeah.
It's a small, silly viewing at time that, invite some friends over that like crazy stuff too. And it's funny.
It does help if you have surround sound because that's fun.
Yeah, sure.
The dying around you in surround sound.
I didn't need to hear all that in surround sound, actually.
Oh, it was amazing.
So, I would say I was meh on this show.
Meh.
Yeah, I can't really say that I like it. I don't think that I would say, you should go watch this show. And that's how I determine if I like it or not. What do you think?
I am a little bit above meh.
So you would tell some friends to go see this?
I would.
Okay.
I would. To me, this is kind of like a Shaun of the Dead or... what are some of the
I didn't like that one because it was really long.
Well, yeah, I'll give you that. But, I mean, the whole premise is just like that. It's kind of silly.
Yeah.
It's entertaining, but it is a little over the top with, like, the gratuitous violence.
Yeah.
I enjoy John Wick, and this one was still a little over the top for me.
This was way sillier, even though that was kind of silly, too.
Yeah.
But this was even sillier.
Well, that one, John Wick was silly in a dramatic way.
Yeah.
Whereas this one is just silly in a comedic way.
John Wick was like a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Like, it was being meta. Like, it knows what people expect of it, and it plays up to that on purpose.
Yeah.
Anyway, if this sounds like fun to you, I bet you'll love it, and you'll have so much fun. And if you're a Nick Cage fan, you'll probably love it.
Yeah.
It's just, like, I don't regret that I watched it. I had a lot of fun watching this with you.
Yeah.
But I'm not like, oh, I really need to go watch this again.
It's one of those things for me where I would say I don't need to go watch it again today, but I could see myself watching it again down the road when I'm like, oh, I want to see a really silly movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vampire movie.
Like when you want to watch Anchorman again or whatever.
Yeah, I can skip that.
So, I would actually watch this again probably before I'd watch The Menu.
Yes.
And we both said we liked that one.
True. I think The Menu, though, is because it's based on like plot twists.
It's more of like a thinker.
Yeah, and since you've already seen it, it's like when you put together a puzzle and then you take it apart. The second time isn't as satisfying because you already know what it looks like put together.
Yeah. So what was your favorite part?
My favorite part. I think my favorite part was the whole Renfield at the
support group.
At the support
group. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, because I just think of, like when it opened up on that support group, I was like, I could see Renfield needing a support group. Mm-hmm. Because he's clearly codependent on Dracula. And yeah, that would be good for him.
Yes, but then it goes so badly because then Dracula finds all his people. So
it goes horribly awry.
It's just so sad, like how alone he must feel, you know? Like he can't find friends because then they'll get destroyed. And
it's kind of funny because like when you think about Dracula, do you ever think about how alone Renfield is?
I have never thought about Renfield before this movie.
Never. The only time I've ever thought about Renfield is when we play One Night Vampire.
Yeah.
because there's a Renfield in it.
It's one of our kids' favorite games. If you haven't heard about it, look it up on Amazon.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
So, yeah, he's a like, I'm a meh. We had fun watching it together.
Yeah, I think, and I'm going to say this, and I don't want this to go to your head. I think that all of these movies are made better by the company you have with you when you watch them.
Aww.
If I was watching this on my own, it probably would have been a meh. But to look over and see like your expressions and things as things are going on, actually made it better for me.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed that.
Yeah. So Zebadextra, Heart, Phebo.
Are we gonna watch Dune 2 when it comes out?
Oh, are you...
That's a silly question. That's like Tim's favorite movie. The original one, right?
Yes, I'm a huge fan
Even
of the
though
original.
it has not stood the test of time, in my opinion.
I would say you're right. The original cinematography has not withstood the test of time. There's a lot of things in that movie that, as far as special effects go, were amazing at the time.
Yeah.
But now are like cringe.
Yeah.
It's a little hard to watch. That's one of the reasons why I love the fact that they came out with a new one.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of breaking it up into 3.
I loved watching that one in the theater. That one was so good. The sound.
Yes.
And just the land, like just looking at it.
Did we do that one in the IMAX?
Yeah.
I think so.
You have to.
Yeah, it was amazing in the IMAX. But it was definitely no Renfield.
Yeah, shoot. They just can't live up. There's not enough shooting the lights.
Yeah, they didn't shoot the lights.
They might have. We should probably rewatch it.
I've watched it 1,000 times. They never shot the lights.
You've watched the new Dune 1,000 times.
Oh, not the new one, the old one.
Oh. When we're talking about the new Dune, babe.
Yeah, I have flashbacks, okay?
Well, okay, so our favorite parts were the support group. If this sounds fun, give it a watch. Just be prepared to, just don't take this seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously. We don't like to take ourselves too seriously.
Apparently.
But definitely don't have, in my opinion, don't have children in the room. Depending on the age of the children.
At all.
Or at all. But that's going to be it for this episode. So what are we watching next? Do you remember what I picked?
Mother
on Netflix, which you probably almost all of you have Netflix, so give it a watch, and then you can listen to us talk about and sound in the comments below after you've watched it.
And you know what? Just take a second while you're watching this, and if you could go ahead and thumbs up.
Yeah.
Like it. Subscribe. Hit the bell.
And tell us what kind of shows you want us to watch in the comments below, so you can help us tailor our viewing choices.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's gonna be it for today. I hope you enjoyed, and I can't say Team Zebadextra won on this one. So I'm so sorry about that.
Clearly, how could you not? You just said this was a thoroughly good ride from start to finish.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that's what I said.
I'm going to edit that back in, by the way.
All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you back next time.
Yep. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.